in an hour, probably not. But we can help make that service. So service is a huge part of our local phone system.
Well, that's neat. So they can call and there's someone there. Oh, we have a guest. Oh no, it's the host of the show, Greg Moore. Welcome to
Hey, how you doing,
Business
Michelle?
and Palette. No, Business and More.
We might have to change the name of the show.
No, that's okay.
No?
That's okay. You can take over. Nick and I've had, I don't know if you've listened, we've had a pretty good chat. We've talked about malware. We've talked about the new phone service, and now you're up. Do you want a cup of coffee?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Hey, Nick, how you doing?
Good. Great.
Thanks for being here. So
Yeah.
sorry I was a little late. Gotta love live radio.
Yeah.
But we had the wonderful Michelle Pallet. We call her El Presidente here at Monroe County Radio.
El Genitore.
Step in. So, yeah, welcome to the show. Like I said, sorry I was a little bit late, but just wanted to have you on because this show is business oriented, and we want to find local business leaders, community leaders, entrepreneurs, things like that to get on the show and talk about. Did you already talk a little bit about what you did? I heard a little bit coming in.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about our general service offering and things like that. We're located downtown on First Street, across near the post office over there. So a little touched on the phones, touched on IT, touched on cloud and things like that. So yeah.
What is the largest or the biggest segment of your business?
Well, when we started in 2006, we focused primarily on Linux consulting. It's a Unix-based operating system.
Sure.
And that's still the largest part of our business today.
Okay.
Helping, and those customers are typically not in the region, so those customers are all around the world. We do have one larger customer in Auburn Hills, but most of them are California, in the tech sectors, even one of our largest customers is based in Morocco as well.
So tell me a little bit about how you got into this business. I know I'm an 80s and kind of early 90s kid at my age, and my father owned a computer wholesaling business. So I grew up with Linux, Unix, DOS.
Okay.
My first computer was a Commodore 64,
Yeah.
right? One of the first kids on the street to get a CD-ROM
Okay.
computer, okay? So I know a little bit about the space,
Yeah.
but what got you into this industry, which is kind of I don't know, it's a very specific type of industry, so give us a little background on that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'll go back just a step further there. When I first got a computer, or my older brother got a computer, and he got 3.5-inch floppy with I think it was Wolfenstein 3D.
Sure,
right?
yeah.
And he showed it to me.
Love that game.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. He showed it to me, and I was like, that's amazing. And then he left, and I'm like, I'm gonna go use that computer.
Right.
And I couldn't figure out how to start it. like C:** or whatever it was.
Right,
At the time.
there's a little code you had to put in.
I couldn't figure it out, and I sat there for like an hour trying to get it to go. But that was like the first real experience with the computer that I remember. And from then, we did a ton of things. But what really started my interest was in high school. I went to Monroe High School here, graduated in 97, I think it was.
Okay.
And there was a class there, computer science class taught by Daryl Straub, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And what he really did was helped you understand how to think a little bit logically.
Sure.
Even in 97, we worked on a 1978 Kremenko
Right.
Z80 1 megahertz computer, but that was enough to understand fundamentals. That's all you needed.
Yeah.
You don't need high-tech stuff today. In fact, we probably shouldn't be spending all the money we do on the high-tech, but we should be learning fundamentals.
Sure.
And it really created an interest in computers.
You
In
know-
fact, one more thing there.
Sure.
I probably didn't understand almost anything that he was teaching me at the time until I was out.
Me either. Yeah.
Until I was out of there.
It was funny. He was. I've had more people around my age, younger and older, that have went through Monroe High that said Straub really helped them through some. I had him for a physics class.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And I'm not a physics guy at all.
Yeah.
Not even an algebra guy. I don't think numbers and letters should be anywhere next to each other. Let's just keep them separate,
Yeah.
But the way he explained, he had these little cartoons and stuff too that he would do, and it really goes to speak to a teacher can really put you on the right path to something that you may be interested in but don't fully understand.
So that led me into my next job, actually.
Okay.
There was an interesting story. I worked at an oil change place here right out of high school,
Okay.
Victory Lane over there
Sure.
in Kmart, and I worked there for a year to the day. But one period during that time, I had found a bug in the oil software where I could escalate my security privileges, and so I called as an oil change tech
Sure.
to the company and told them about this over the phone. They're based in Washington State, and they said, "Hold on a second." And they're probably a small shop. I don't know what
Sure.
they're probably like a 10-person shop.
Yeah.
And their boss gets on the phone, and he offered me a job over the phone, like that. He said, "Hey, I'd like you to come work for us, $425 a week," which was twice of what I was probably
Right.
making at the time.
Right.
And you come out to Washington State, and it just made me think about what am I doing right
Sure.
now? Out of high school and changing oil still. And I probably would have stayed there longer than I should. I probably did stay there longer than I should have
Now,
already.
were you doing computer security stuff, or were you changing
No, I was
oil?
changing oil.
You were changing
under the
oil.
cars, yeah,
Okay.
doing greasing the lubes and changing
So you went,
oil.
if this guy can get into our systems, he can definitely change oil for us.
Yeah.
You like the initiative, huh?
No, they were the software designers
The
of
okay.
the terminals in the bay
Okay.
that I called up. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, it was kind of an interesting.
Very
scenario,
cool.
though.
So when did you get involved with MNX and, I said that right, correct? MNX,
Mhm.
said it a little fast. When did you get involved with that? What was the timeline? And can you talk about some of the challenges
Mhm.
that you might have faced when you go into business ownership?
Yeah, so MNX started in 2006. It's myself and Mike Stolzoff. We're
Yep.
partners in the company.
I met Mike, good guy.
Yep, and 2005 actually we might have formed the company, but I don't think we got our first customer until 2006. So
Okay.
that's one challenge, right? Getting your first customers, like understanding how to price your services. Those are very
Sure.
difficult pieces for us to initially understand.
And do you look at other competitors and kind of see what they're offering and what prices they're giving and kind of align yourself there? What was the strategy for that?
The strategy was to get customers.
Sure. Sure.
So we actually have one of our first customers. They run the Sturgis Rally website as one of our first customers in 2006,
Oh,
and
cool.
we maintain all of their websites and infrastructure for them still. But we were just going everywhere for trying to figure out what's going on. It was kind of an interesting time because our expertise was far and few between,
Okay.
and so we were just people were finding us on the web. We had to start understanding how to get on search results and things like that.
Sure.
But once they found us, there wasn't many competitors at the time, so that was kind of a good
So
time.
in 2005, do you have a retail space? Are you working out of the house?
Out of the
garage?
home.
Is it like a Steve Jobs story here, where you're in a garage and you're creating business, or how did that start?
I took my first call on the road, and it's kind of a funny story. I was over by Jack's, where the train tracks is right over there.
Sure.
And my phone rings, and sure enough, it's a business call, maybe one of our first ones. And here,
You're seeing some growth, and you go, okay, maybe we need to find a place of business where customers can come and where clients can be, and
I think I needed a place because our dog wouldn't stop barking every time I picked
Sure.
up the phone.
Absolutely.
At the time, but just a separate space because we knew that there was growth coming. There was signs of good things to come. So we moved over to Washington Street, over near where Thrivent Financial is now.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah. On that, is it that brick building? Right
Yeah,
there?
it's a
right
brick.
on the corner.
No,
That
it's right
one?
in the middle there. 19.
Oh, yep.
19 Washington.
Okay. How long were you guys there for?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe at least 3 years, maybe 4 years, and then we moved over to Monroe Street, where our RCO law is today. We're there for about 5 years, and then in the last 3 years, we had a new place built for us.
Yeah. You want to know what? Looking back on it, hindsight's 2020. Maybe I don't do that, or maybe I missed this opportunity. Was there a few things along the way that really stuck out to you that said, "Man, I could have made a different decision," or "I had a missed opportunity there"?
Yeah, for sure. A couple of things. I don't even know where to start. There's actually a ton of things, right?
That's good though, right? Self-introspection, knowing what you need to do differently
Yeah.
is a good quality to have.
Really focusing on sales. Having the product and having somebody to sell it and continuing to build your pipeline.
Sure.
That was a big one. And then don't get too distracted by many of the shiny things that are out there.
Yeah.
That's easy to do. I know personally, I like to test a lot of things, but I try to shut them off as quickly as I can, which might, like constantly iterating, maybe even something every week.
Sure.
Most of them are not a good idea, but I will toy with them for a few minutes at least. Yeah, so avoiding shiny things, pricing your services appropriately is another big one.
Sure.
We've underpriced firing customers, the bad ones, and
Now, the way that just piqued my interest, because you
Mhm.
don't hear that too much from business owners. Firing customers. Can you expand on that a little bit? Like
Well-
just something that maybe isn't a right fit or the relationship doesn't work? What does that mean?
well, it probably means just like employees, right?
Sure.
You should probably do, hire slowly.
Sure.
Same with customers, just as well as they're interviewing you, you should be interviewing them for a fit.
Sure.
Because if they're not a fit, they might not be happy with your services anyhow.
Right.
And you're going to spend too much time and waste time trying to get to wherever you want it to be.
Yeah, it can actually be a detriment to your business. You said something very important that I find every time I talk to experienced business owners or anyone who has a length of time with maybe a business that they've owned or maybe a venture that they've done, they always say something that you said, and you said it very subtly, but you said hire a sales guy. And when I hear that, I hear, hire the right people that are specialized in what they can do. Sometimes I think small business owners, we kind of wear all the hats. Like, oh yeah, I can work my way around a Canva app or a this, or I can do my advertising, I can do my sales.
Well,
I
you
can...
did it all to start with.
Right, you did it to start, so you go, but at some point you have to realize, like I said, that can be a detriment sometimes, right?
Yeah.
If you're the owner of a business or a decision maker in the business, your time can be spent better somewhere else than letting a professional handle, get that good professional that can do that sales or advertising or cold call or whatever it is, whatever aspect it is. But I found that, I'll say mature entrepreneurs and business owners really know what their value is, know what their, I had a guy in my early 20s, I was bidding out a job when I used to side houses. I said, what should I bid? He goes, well, what are you worth an hour? And that's what you don't look at, do I need the job? What are you worth for that hour, that day, that week? Know that, and know that you have those kind of skills and give that kind of product and then bid it accordingly. And I went, oh, wow, that was, it's a very, kind of a simple concept, but it's, very important too. But we're going to talk more about that when we come back after the break. We're with Nick Wilkens on MNX with MNX Solutions. Stick around, guys. We'll be right back. Jeez.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man.
That's all right. No, it's okay. We had fun.
Oh, thanks for stepping in. You know what's funny is my kid put my phone on Do Not Disturb. So I'm just kind of lounging around about 8:30 this morning. Oh, man, I don't have to pick up my lawnmower until, 12 o'clock in the phone. Feels like I should be somewhere.
I'm gonna have to do a touch text.
You shouldn't have to. I've never been late to any of them.
No,
I don't know
I
what. I've had I was
just
up till
me.
3 a.m. writing
No,
contracts
it's not
last
you.
night. It's like, it's just nuts right now in real estate.
That's a good thing.
I'm saying hiring a professional. I'm right on the verge of getting another assistant because it's just hard to keep everything in.
Well, that's what I have to do, and I found the perfect person, but they do not retire from the post office, believe it or not, until September.
Yeah.
And I just need someone to start 4 hours a week just to keep my center where it needs to be.
Sure.
All that peripheral stuff.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it. I know her. Her brother and his wife live down the street. I mean, she won't be,
Yeah.
doing
Don't say any
anything.
names unless you want it on Facebook
No,
Live.
no.
Okay.
And she is awesome. And she's very detail oriented. I just need someone to go, hey, do this. I mean, not that they're gonna, they may run to the bank, but they're not writing checks or anything like that, because you gotta have that control. But it's hard.
Yeah.
Hiring Becky was the smartest thing I ever could have done because I was the top rainmaker at Cumulus. I didn't have time, and now I have time to create things and make, like you say, make things better.
Yeah.
And I do still have a lot of contact with clients, but it's on a different level now.
Right.
And that, it's kind of, it's important.
I always give the restaurant owner example. I feel like people who want to get in the restaurant business imagine themselves just being the guy walking around talking to everyone at the table while everything's running smoothly.
Yeah.
It's about 15 years of just, nail biting, 70 hours a week, ups and downs before you can get to that point and putting the right professionals in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel that's a pitfall too sometimes with entrepreneurs is, like you said, the shiny things. They go right to the end game, and it's like, I've talked to so many successful people who have failed 30 times to get to where they're at.
Yeah.
And they just went, oh yeah, I just failed, and you move on. You figure it out, and that's not going to work. And it's like, you have to be so resilient. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like Angry Birds, you know, right? That great success story. Do you know how long it took them to get, how many games they made before they got to Angry Birds?
Oh,
like
really?
100 games.
I
Oh,
love
wow.
Angry Birds.
We
You know,
found
But
it
it's
with
an
Angry
overnight
Birds.
success, right?
Yeah,
And
that's what everyone thinks.
That's what everyone wants to adopt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
we-
Was it like 100 games?
A lot of games.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
that is the best game because you know what, I'm having my hot cup
I don't know
of
if it was
tea.
100, but it was
Yeah.
a lot.
It was a lot.
of
Yeah.
games,
I know what
Hot
you
cup
mean.
of tea in the morning, it's like mindless.
30 seconds.
It gets
Thanks.
you. It gets you thinking, and then
Yeah.
I go, okay, I'm done.
Well, that's like even if you look at actors or personalities of overnight success. Or
No.
stand-up comics are another one. They grind it out for 12 years. They get 1 year of success, and I was like, oh, it's overnight success.
Most
Or just-
overnight successes take 10 years.
Yeah.
10 seconds.
You want me to break right at quarter till as well?
Um,
You know, we'll run later. Gonna go a few minutes over.
3, 2,
They'll tell you.
1.
All right, we're back with Nick Wilkens, owner of MNX Solutions here in Monroe. We've been talking all kinds of fun stuff. Nick, thanks for coming in today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we were talking a little bit about some of the pitfalls of entrepreneurship and owning a business in that first 10 years. Can you tell me a little bit maybe about some of the cool things that maybe happened along the way? Maybe some of the positives that come along with the very tiring and hard work of owning a business. What were a few things maybe, or maybe even into present day, that you've seen as benefits from being an entrepreneur?
When I started doing help desk work, like frontline help desk work, and it was so rewarding to solve issues and be around people, and like they're happy that their computers are fixed, and solving technology challenges for businesses gives that similar reward to me. Like, we're helping them move their business forward with technology. That's a neat reward.
Yeah.
Similarly, like, just some of the new stuff we're doing we have a new business and disaster recovery product out there. And in the ransomware and the cryptoware, all that kind of stuff,
Okay.
it's like, we're solving some of those problems with literally the click of a button almost to get them, into a disaster recovery scenario. And
So when you say disaster recovery, are you talking like technically? We're not talking about doing anything with natural disaster or anything like that.
oh, we are talking about that as
Okay.
well, like being able to recover your business in the event that, I don't remember, there was a big power outage in the region,
Sure.
years ago. That could have been a scenario where, hey, I need my data and I
Right.
need to run my business still.
Right.
That would be a disaster scenario that we got to think about. Accountants are an interesting one to think about because they're generally not spending a ton on their technology. I mean, they're spending a fair amount, but
Right.
on April 15th, if that server died,
Yeah.
what do they do?
Right.
And so we solved that. You're like, well, we can have you up and running in 15 minutes, no matter what the scenario is, almost.
Oh, that's see.
So they can get their files and things like that at a pretty low cost.
I love talking to people in specific industries that are outside my own because there's so many things you just don't think about that
Yeah.
are a necessity
Yeah.
that you can go after and go, yeah, because that's extremely important.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if if my CPA didn't file my taxes because he had a outage on his server, I don't know if I'd return to him next year.
You probably won't.
And I love the guy to death, right? Yeah, I'd be at least upset for a couple days, you
Yeah.
know.
I don't know what they do in that scenario, but there's a way to prevent it.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. I want to switch gears a little bit because I do want to talk about this. You talked about moving into your space here in Monroe. What's the address?
We're at 123 West First Street.
West
Suite
First
B.
Street, right in downtown Monroe. And guys and girls, for anyone listening, if nothing else, even if you don't need the services, you need to stop into this place of business and just tell Nick hello and take a look at this space because you guys did something kind of really outside of the box. Well, at least for Monroe. You go into a lot of spaces when they're white boxed and when they're being built out. And sometimes you have a very standard build out for certain type of industries. And me being in commercial real estate, I've been in 100,000 buildings and you see a lot of the same kind of concept. you guys did almost an open floor kind of concept, I'd call it. Floor to ceiling glass for some of the windows. I mean, it's just gorgeous inside of there. You walk in there and you go, I don't really feel like I'm in Monroe anymore. I feel like I'm somewhere else, which is such a cool feeling. I was just actually talking to Doug Chafin, the president of Monroe Bank and Trust, about this yesterday after an economic update. Culture is such a huge part of business, and we're just now starting to realize that maybe 10, 15 years. Tech companies actually drove that.
Yeah.
Guys like Facebook and Google and Apple said, hey, look, if people don't want to be here, productivity goes down, efficiency goes down, so let's make this a place and culture where people want to be. And when I walk into your space, some people might go, oh, tech, IT, it feels so distant and non-personal, but the space itself feels very personal. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've got an open floor plan with kitchen. You've got, like I said, glass walls, so it's very transparent. Can you talk a little bit about that, where your headspace was when you were thinking about designing that, and who did that, and where did the idea come from? And I don't know, I'm just very interested in that.
Yeah.
It's very unique in Monroe.
Well, we were in a couple of spaces, and we've been to spaces, we've been to co-working spaces, and we found what was comfortable for us. We also wanted something where people wanted to come to work, right?
Sure.
And so that particular location, gets a ton of natural light all day long, and I love to grill. I needed a place to, grill out in the back over there.
Right.
We like to play, right? Like sometimes the work we're doing is just so, like we're staring at a screen like constantly, and you need some type of a break. You need to be able to do something different. Or one thing the feeling that I had while we worked on the space, and we worked with Jim Jacobs. He helped draw it up for us.
Great guy. Yep.
We worked with Roger Homrich. It's his building over there.
I was just with his son last night too.
Yeah. And just a couple other designers. There's another designer that gave us some concepts. But the feeling that I had is I wanted to stretch my arms out, right, and feel this space.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the concept. And then it's a very broad concept, but it was just this feeling that I had when I want like a 10-foot desk, with
Right.
nothing on it.
Right.
But there was also another thought that went into it, and it was really about flexibility. So we didn't know where we're going. We still don't know where we're going, in some
Sure.
cases. And so there's a lot of flexibility in that space for, adding walls, adding more desks,
Right.
adding more offices and things like that. So the base design was about flexible usage of the space.
So you guys kind of had that idea from the get-go, like we
Mhm.
want something a little open, more flex,
Yep.
something we can grow.
Yep.
And
Something we can host events at too. That's been a great use of
I
the
was
space
going to
as
get to
well.
that too.
Yeah.
I know you're involved, as I am, in the Chamber of Commerce Young Professionals, which I believe the first ever meeting was at your space.
Yeah,
We had a pretty good turnout too.
Yeah, we helped kick that off. I might have aged out of that group. I don't know. Is there like no?
Now, you're as young as you feel. So
But,
I'm 72.
But we helped kick that. We helped kick that group off, and it's been great. I love seeing it grow, and we're happy to facilitate that.
Well, that's one of those things too, where we're standing around with 50 or 60 young professionals, and they're just going, "Oh my gosh, I love this space," And then when we hear that it's being, the meeting 2 months from now, is it at Nick's place? No, it's down here, over there. Oh, okay. There's a little bit of disappointment because it's just such a great gathering place.
Yeah.
It really is. And I'm, like I said, I'm kind of in that industry a little bit, being in real estate. But it's like if you can create that feeling and that culture, and I'm sure culture goes much deeper than the aesthetics of the interior of your building.
Yeah.
But it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
You don't want to walk into a dark, dreary, quiet place. That's another thing I noticed too. Usually with IT, you think, a guy hunched over his computer in the back. Don't talk to me. Everyone's very just, it's boisterous and loud, and people are getting things done, and you're walking from place to place, and you just go, wow, there's activity going on here, which I think is very conducive to business.
Well, one thing that we're involved with companies out in Seattle and California, and we get to go visit their offices. And
Sure.
I was out in Seattle, maybe it was last year or the year before, at one of our customer sites, and they're a competitor of like Amazon, a little bit smaller, but
Okay.
just down the road from them. But there was so much work getting done, and like I walked into there feeling like, holy smokes, something unique is going on here.
Right.
And I was just trying, you try to pull that feeling back to what we're doing here. Another thing that's interesting about what we did over there is it also wasn't all for us.
Okay.
We wanted to, put our money, where our city was, right? We wanted to put money into the city and help, be an example of
Sure.
what could be done in this area to help change some things long term. It's just a thought that we had all along, like, redoing all the brick on the front, that didn't need to be done
Sure.
for us to move in there, but it helps with everything else that's going on. If everyone does just their little part, and hopefully we can all start getting on the same page and rowing together with a cohesive plan.
Sure.
Over the next long period, we can really see some changes around here.
That's a good segue, and you're absolutely right. I actually showed that building to a client in 14 when the owner had just purchased it or just put it on the market, and it was just drab, the whole thing inside. And I just went,
Disaster.
yeah, I just went, oh, what a great building and a great location. And if some tenants come in here with some vision, they could really make this thing great. Because, and it's a great location, it really is. I mean, you're across from the iconic building of Monroe News. I mean, you're right downtown. And lo and behold, here we are a few years later, and I think a few of the units have also been leased out too. But
All of them are now.
yeah, are they?
Mhm.
Okay. You guys just done a great job on that. But you just touched on it was for our city as well, not just for us, but for our community. And I want to talk to you a little bit on the last segment here about community outreach and how important that is to business owners. But we'll talk about that more, folks, right after the break. More with Nick Wilkens when we come back.
I had a feeling that way.
And then maybe we'll talk about the outreach a little bit, maybe what you're involved in, talk about hosting the chamber thing if you want again, and then maybe for the last few minutes, just maybe talk about the future of the tech industry, what you see coming on the horizon.
Sure.
Just a little insider perspective since that's your profession.
Yeah.
Is that cool?
This is like one of the fastest hours. It's just,
Well, it's good when you got guys like this that talk.
Yes.
Give me a couple minutes to,
well, no, it's great. And they do.
So far,
such-
we've had people that talk, though. Haven't had too many.
Yeah.
Tracy was good.
Yeah, you don't want to pull teeth.
Yeah, Wayne was
Because
good.
you're
Brian
not
was
a-
good.
I'm not a dentist. Yeah.
Yeah. You still
no,
want one answer.
but
Answers on radio.
he's got the cred. He knows it. Your business is very. It has a lot of street cred, but also you can speak to. Okay, we started out of the house, and I mean, I started the ad agency out of my house.
Yeah.
Because clients don't come to my house, I go to them.
My office is still at my house. I
Well,
built
my
an
whole-
office out back of my house.
My whole first floor is my office.
Yeah.
And, I have sales reps trying to sell me stuff for my clients and stuff like that, but,
Well, this is also why these guys are this is why the business is growing and they're so important. Like, even in real estate, I run it from my server, my home PC. I still have to have a PC because of 3 websites for vendors. I still want Explorer. And my iPad. It's like, I don't need anything else. I mean, a space to where it's quiet so the kids aren't yelling in the background, kind of like you were saying, train going by when you're talking to a client, But I'll tell you what, if my computer goes down or my server goes down, what I can't do anything.
Right.
Everything's on there, man, digitally, remotely.
We touched on the city of Baltimore before you got here. Their whole government systems are shut down. All their real estate systems are shut down. They can't check for taxes and liens and things like that. It's been going on for about a week now.
Yeah, it started at 100,000, you said, and
Yeah.
every day it's $10,000
I think they gave them I forget how many days, but it was just this week.
Yeah.
Huge.
I need to put you in touch with our president of our MLS, RealComp. It's the largest MLS in Michigan. Her name's Karen Cage. And their servers went down for about 6 hours. And it was the worst 6 hours of her life. You have 4,500 agents going, I can't update, I can't show. Because now it's all connected. Now we have Bluetooth initiated boxes that are wireless to, it's just everything's connected.
But if you have 4,500 agents and they have 10 active clients, that's really
Well, no,
more
you're
than-
talking now.
Yeah.
You're talking auto emails.
Yeah.
You could have hundreds of thousands of emails going out at every couple minutes, and that's all down. 30 seconds.
Yeah,
It's crazy how much my industry relies on technology. I mean, back in the day, you just had a
Everything.
book.
Yeah.
You go pick up a physical book.
Well,
Let's go look at houses. Let's go look at commercial
Or you
properties.
get it at the grocery store, the houses that, that was on newsprint paper. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
It's good coffee. What do you feed me?
$4
Guys?
bucks.
Good coffee.
Starbucks. Yeah,
Yeah.
my neighbor
5,
works there,
4,
so I get £3
3,
each week.
2,
You want more?
1.
Welcome back, everyone. We're with Nick Wilkens, the owner of MNX Solutions. Nick, thank you so much for being here. The hour's just flying by, especially when you come in 15 minutes late. It's a really quick hour for me. We can thank our fearless leader, Michelle, for jumping on live radio and taking over, so appreciate you too, Michelle. Before the break, we were talking about giving back to the community. You had mentioned, we just didn't build out this space that we're at now for us, but also for Monroe, for our community. Can you talk about, because I like to touch on this with just about everyone I have in here, a little bit about the importance of giving back to the community or being a community partner when you own a business, and maybe some of the things you might be involved in.
Yeah. In terms of like giving back and things like that, we try to, give anything we can to, whether it's nonprofits or, sometimes just technical advice, just like,
Sure.
hey, let me just come in here and I'll tell you what's going on, and hopefully this helps you guys survive, right? I know you can't afford what we're doing sometimes, but I can provide advice for anybody.
Sure.
So we definitely do some things like that. But one of the things that we've been thinking about in terms of the community is, and I know a lot of people are thinking about this, so we're a little bit of an island right now, and we're trying to connect with other people in this as well. But there's a plan, there's a vision for Monroe, and if we don't embrace and I don't know how to say this exactly, but if we don't really think about the future of Monroe as it relates to technology,
Sure.
knowledge workers, and where are our kids going to work at? I've interviewed some great interns over the last few years. We usually bring interns in and try to help them along in their technology careers.
Sure.
And these kids are not going to stay in Monroe.
Right.
And they're going to, if we're lucky, they're going to Ann Arbor or
Right. At least stay in Michigan. If not, they're going out of state.
They're going out of state, and so there's a lot of opportunity for as technology improves for people to be remote workers. I mean, I don't even know the numbers. I'd love to understand how many remote workers we have in this community, but there's some neat incentives going out there, like cities like, I think it's Tulsa, Oklahoma, Vermont. They have a $10,000 yearly remote worker benefit to move to their city or their state.
Oh, wow.
And they will provide, co-working space for a year, at least the costs of it. They'll help with moving into the location. These cities know, right, that they have to start doing this. We have some interesting issues here, but we're also really nicely positioned between so many great tech areas, right? Detroit is just going crazy right now.
Yeah.
Ann Arbor, and you got Toledo too.
Sure.
And guess where, where the central location is for all of that. And so we have an opportunity to embrace that from a technology perspective. Some of the things that, I know the master plan has some great concepts in it about, tech sector, some other little areas and things like that. But that's what I want to see over the long term is the city or the community or the county thinking about that at least as one area. There's a lot of other areas too, and they all play together, whether it's the medical, the education, manufacturing, they all play really nicely together, but it doesn't feel like we're all on the same page right now. We're not all rowing together.
That can be a challenge.
And at least, and I know that the EDC, the Economic Development Corporation, is doing some great things with that right now, and other partners in the space, but we're not all connected right now.
What we're seeing is we're kind of in the birthing pains of that. The EDC, which I sit on, the BDC, which is a board I sit on as well, both Business Development Corp, which they're trying to, we're growing. Each year you see a little more buy-in, and we really need input from business owners like yourself too that have that same vision and go, okay, how do we get buy-in from the total community that these things are important? And in the Monroe County Link Plan, they do have a tech pillar, so to speak, about that. I don't know if you're involved in that at all. No? We might have to talk after the show. I might have to rope you into volunteering for
a lot of good
for
things
a committee
going
or a
on.
board.
Yeah.
But it's so important.
Yeah.
You're so right. I was just talking to the director of tourism here in Monroe, and just going, we've got to come up with a unique plan even from that perspective. We have rivers, we have lakes, we have corridors. I mean, we got 275, 75, 23, 24, M125. I mean, we have all these different things to offer Monroe County. That all plays into it too. And then also getting the business owners on board with that too and going, okay, this is the vision. Look, if your business isn't in step with your government, you're not going to be in step with the residents. They all kind of three have to line up, and one of those have to take the lead. I would, usually it's business and government together because one kind of can't function without the other right now. But if you can get community leaders and business owners on the same page and say, this is where we're headed, and it's a good, solid plan, residents come on board, government goes, okay, how can we make it work? Hopefully, you hope you have, locally elected officials that are forward thinking. But I always see business owners as almost always taking the lead from even on social issues. You know what I mean? If the private sector does it, everyone else falls in line.
Yeah.
You know?
And we're seeing that like downtown, like all these new renovations that are going on down here.
Yeah.
People are stepping up their game.
Yeah.
It looks like, and
Absolutely.
It all helps.
Sure.
Maybe not as a master plan per se, but everyone knows they need to be doing this, and they're doing it for the right reasons. It looks like too.
Yeah.
So.
So we have a few minutes left in the hour here. I just want to touch on this just because it's my favorite subject. But what do you see? I always like to ask business owners in their profession, where do you see your profession in 5 or 10 years, or maybe the industry of your profession? Maybe specifically to you, IT or technology. Generally, if you're in a profession, you should know you should be looking into the near future and kind of figuring out. No one can predict anything for sure. I do the same thing in real estate and go, okay, where are we going to be in 3, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years? This is what I need to start planning for. Maybe talk a little bit about that for the last few minutes on where do you see your industry going? If we have someone out there listening right now that would be interested.
Yeah, so our industry, we're in a couple of areas right now,
Okay.
3 major areas. Cloud computing is one of our big areas as well. We have a data center in Chicago and looking to expand to another one out west soon.
Is that still a growth market too, cloud? I mean, I was at AT&T from 2004 to 8, and I remember us talking about it in 5. This is where it's all going. We're going, what? Everything's going to be just up there floating around, So I've been talking about it a long time. So it feels like it's been around a long time, but I feel like a lot of people really haven't got on board, even businesses, in the last maybe 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, is that still a growth market?
Huge,
cloud?
yeah,
Okay.
huge growth. Amazon is leading the space.
Okay.
Amazon Web Services. Then you have Google Compute Cloud and Microsoft's Azure Cloud, and then you have, hundreds or thousands of others down
Sure.
the space. And we're one of those that are way down in that space, but we can specialize. And so the concept is to be very narrow in what we do there. But anyhow, so cloud is a big area. Amazon is, just take a look at their profit
Sure.
sheets out there. Like that cloud business, $25 billion in the last quarter or whatever it was.
Right.
Just crazy. So
cloud is
growing.
big. Yeah.
Security, clearly security. But one concept to keep in mind is just, and I think it's Andreessen Horowitz, Ben Horowitz, said that software is eating the world, right?
Okay.
And it will for the next number of decades. So everyone, as they're coming up, is going to need or will really benefit from knowing how to do some development, do some software development. I liken software development to construction.
Okay.
It's this virtual construction that you get
Sure.
to do almost in your mind, but
Sure.
on a computer, and there's nothing tangible there at the end. But it's a similar concept where you're building things. You build things in real estate and construction.
Yeah.
Start building software things.
Well, I feel like as a society, for years and years and years, we kind of had this thing where it was like, you just had to know some basic things, even if that wasn't your profession, right?
Yeah.
Change a tire, frame a wall, pour concrete, just basic construction stuff as a human. Like you should just you don't have to be an expert, but and then when we're such a technologically advanced world and just everything is based on it, we just kind of go, oh, let's leave that for the experts, which I'm sure is good for for your business. But I feel like sometimes we lack in going, yeah, you should know how to change a tire, but maybe you should know some basic coding or basic programming or just know your way around an operating system.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're going to be confronted with that every day of your life.
And we're seeing that. The schools are doing
Are they?
a
Yeah.
pretty good job. Like the kids that are coming out of there, they know the
Good.
systems, but they're not knowing like some of the fundamentals, like maybe at the Linux level or the Unix level
Right.
or the DOS level, they don't see that anymore, and
Yeah.
it's still important. Networking as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that about wraps us up. We have a few more minutes before the top of the hour, but I did want to ask you to maybe just put out there your location, any contact information you might have if anyone's interested in your business, and maybe state just again exactly some of the things you cover. So if anyone listening or watching might be interested in visiting your space or even hiring you for your business or
Sure.
your services, you could expand on that just a little bit as we wrap this up.
Yeah, so Nick Wilkens with MNX Solutions. Definitely come visit us just to say hi, if nothing else. We're on 123 West 1st Street,
Okay.
Suite D. Lots of parking over there, so you don't have to worry about getting a ticket over there.
Yeah.
But we do IT consulting, managed services for businesses that value technology. So
Okay.
if technology is important and you see value in it, we would probably be a good fit. To
And what's
talk
the
to
what's the business sizes? I mean, do you go small to medium to large? I mean, do you service all, or do you focus on different sizes?
We service all businesses. We like to service those with 10 or more PCs typically.
Okay.
That's where they start to see. They're not
Sure.
worried about the couple of nickels and dimes there as
Right.
much as they are about the value that we're bringing there.
Sure.
It's we have customers with 5 PCs and we're able to come up with a value proposition for them as well. So.
Okay.
But typically 10 or more PCs up to about 100 PCs or so is a good fit for us right now. And then on the Linux monitoring and infrastructure side, we're working with Fortune 500 companies. Some customers of ours have had 1,000 servers, spam filtering company.
Wow.
So any size on that side of
Yeah.
things is appropriate for us. And then on the phones, so phones, we could do a single phone for a business to, I don't know, maybe 400 or 500 seats.
Now, when you're talking phones, are you talking physical,
Yeah,
like
desk
trunk
phones.
line,
Yeah.
phone lines? And
Yeah.
what are you do? What are you maintaining there? What are you doing? I'm
We have a
kinda
cloud
obtuse
hosted.
on that.
Yep, we have a cloud hosted PBX solution. So you just have a phone at your desk, or you have an app on your cell phone, and you can make or take calls from wherever you are to your business number. So
Okay.
business phones.
Very cool.
Yep.
Well, Nick, thanks so much for coming in, talking with me for the hour.
Yeah.
I'm going
Thanks for
to put all your information on the live stream. And then, as always, if you have any questions or concerns, you can always reach out to me. Thanks for listening, guys. This has been Business and More with Greg Moore. Oh, a little over there. Oh, man, once again, sorry.
Thank you so much
I was
for having
late.
me over here.
Oh, hey, Facebook, you guys got like 40 minutes. Sorry.
Actually, they hope